Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It's Sunday, probably where you are, but it's Monday here in Australia. And I'm back after a long journey back home. It was delayed. My flight was delayed by 24 hours. It took 36 in total to get all the way back. But I'm back, refreshed after a nice evening's sleep. You're watching Still Only 35 Cents. This is the Merry Monday Mailcall Show. I am your host, Dave. You may have noticed something different about today's show. We have a lovely new ticker on the right with all of the chats coming in. So keep it clean, folks, because everyone can see it. And if we get some poorly behaved people, then I may turn this off. But for now, we'll leave it up and we will highlight some of these amazing people that have joined us. First of all is Christina Payne. Hello, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. So welcome, Christina. It's great to see you as always. And Glenn Simpson is here too. Wow, the comic book historian himself. I am honored and hopefully I don't make too many mistakes, but I hopefully can rely on you, Glenn, as we go through some of these books, because they are, as the title suggests, all filler and no killer. There is a whole bunch of books that I bought that I'm into that you might not necessarily. I'm sure there'll be something here for everyone, but we'll go through them very, very soon. But I did want to lead off with something on a bit of serious note, to be perfectly honest. I just found out that Peter David unfortunately passed, one of my favorite creators, and certainly his Hulk run back in the 80s was something that I thoroughly enjoyed and gave me a lot of joy. So I'm very sad to hear that Peter passed. He did a great run on the Incredible Hulk and a number of Marvel titles, including X Factor. So sorely missed. And yes, I was lucky enough back in 2014 to actually get, and I'll just bring this up, I was actually lucky enough to get this copy of Hulk 345 signed by him on one of my first cons that I'd gone to. I think this was Emerald City Comic Con from memory. And back in 2014, 29th of the 3rd, 2014. This book is notoriously hard to get graded because it's a double-size issue. This is the last but one issue in the arc that he wrote with Todd McFarlane on art. And this cover is iconic. So yeah, I thought I'd bring these two out to sort of celebrate. As I say, lucky enough to get this book signed by Peter himself back in 2014. So was grateful to have been able to meet him, albeit briefly, at that show. So rest in peace, Peter. Great writer. And hopefully, as I say, if you haven't read Peter David's work, particularly his Hulk run, I'd urge you to go out and grab them. Sorely underrated in my book, and it was a great run, particularly the McFarlane era in my mind. And I also brought this out. If you are a Peter David fan, this is probably the most expensive book in his run. So this is that classic cover on 340, much homaged and swiped, but you wouldn't have this cover without Peter David. So thanks, Peter, for all the great work throughout the years. So that's a bit of a sad note for the beginning of the show, but I did want to share that with you as I just found out. So sad to hear. Let's see who else we have in the chat. So Glenn's obviously here. We've got Scotty Steelix or Steel 1X. Good to see you. Howdy from East US. Good evening. As I say, it was nice being on the right time zone, but I'm glad I do this show at 7:30 in the morning, so it gives everyone a chance on a Sunday evening to enjoy. Glenn, I can surely run rings around me on anything UK, I assure you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Glenn. But hopefully you can shine some light on some of these books that we're going to go through soon. Christina's here, as we say, and Tales from My Spinner Rack. I will get this right this week. So last week, unfortunately, we have two people in the community. We have Gary from Tales from My Spinner Rack, who is a dear friend of mine. I love hanging out with Gary. Luckily, he will be at Heroes Con this year, which is great. So I'll be able to catch up with him again. But I mistook him inadvertently for Mr. Aitken from what's on the comic rack last week. So apologies to you, Gary, and I will call out my mistakes when I make them. So there you go. So if you haven't already, please go and check out Tales from My Spinner Rack, Gary's website. A very informative site. Just great insights from him. And I never get this name right. De Grace de Testamente from Denmark. Great to see you. And it is indeed. Hope to have a big surprise at HeroesCon. I hope so too. I'm looking forward to seeing you, my friend. Looking forward to seeing you. So let's get on with some books, shall we? How, just in the chat, let me know if this is doubling up, whether I need to keep the ticker going. Carreri, please tell me if I'm saying it right. It's great to meet you. Great to see you. Thank you. So yeah, let me know if the new ticker on the right is useful. We'll keep that if it still works out. But I think it's a nice little addition to StreamYard. So we'll see how we go. All right, books. You're here for the books. So these are a whole bunch of books that I picked up whilst I was in the US. I managed to get them back using my impromptu method of shipping books internationally when you go to cons. So I packed them away either in those little boxes that you get, or I packed them away in a, in a little suitcase slash made up little box, which if you check out my Instagram account, you'll see how I improvised. But yes, I'll be doing a video on how I travel with books internationally, because I think that was a question that came up from JSS Brooklyn, John. So I thought I would do a video on that, because I think it's one thing is, like, if you're traveling, even if you're traveling domestically, it's a useful way to sort of move and transport your books. So talking of books, first one off the list today is this issue number 8. This is a Brian Bolland cover, Judge Dredd issue 8 from Eagle Comics back in the 80s. This one's a near mint plus, so this should grade out about 9.6 if I ever decide to grade it. But this is another one to take off my list of the Judge Dredd Eagle Comics series, in particular the Brian Bolland covers. So I picked this one up. Really happy to have that in the collection. Super high grade. This is one for Glenn Simpson. Exo Man of War. I believe this is Barry Windsor Smith, but I think this is tell a lie, Bob Layton. So this one is Exo Man of War issue 1, signed by Bob Layton, just there in gold. So thought, I don't have a Bob Layton signature, and I thought an issue 1 would be a good one to pick up. So this is my Exo Man of War issue 1, which, yeah, as I say, first appearance of Exo Man of War, apparently. So there, I thought this would be a good one to pick up. I'm increasingly getting books that have got signed raw, and then potentially considering getting them graded, but just nice to have them signed. So nice Bob Layton Exo Man of War from Valiant there. And again, I did say this was all going to be filler, all filler and no killer. And it's funny, you're right there. Funny that Layton went from Iron Man to Exo Man of War. Yes, very apt, isn't it? And no idea. Maybe our friend Glenn can help here. What is happening to the Valiant universe? No idea. I was never really into Valiant. I sort of missed that whole boat. So I'm sure someone in the chat will be able to help out. But I am going back and picking up these Valiants one by one, just to sort of get a read in terms of these books. But yeah, I thought you couldn't pass up a Bob Layton signed book. So I thought that would be a good one. So John, JSS Brooklyn is here too. The video would be great, Dave, to watch. I brought it up and look forward to it. I will be looking forward to doing it myself, because I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but I'll probably do it as a sort of prep for HeroesCon in terms of what I'm going to do to get back from HeroesCon. But I do have a system, and now I have a brand new system, which is another new strategy where I can take a box and turn it into a suitcase. So yeah, I came back with probably about 300 or 400 books, I'd say. And again, all filler, no killer. So here we have And welcome, John, by the way. I didn't say hello, but hello. It was good to see you, as always. So I will be checking out Valiant. Absolutely. I do think it's underrated. And as I say, I haven't come across too many. I've been sort of very much honing in on my Marvel. But like these Charltons before, I'm going to start digging in a bit more. This is Charlton All New Haunted issue 20. I've been picking up these Charltons, especially when I find them in decent grade. This one, I think, is a VF near mint. And those who know Charlton books know that these are hard to find in high grades. So I have been picking them up as and when I see them, just purely for the stories are great on the interiors, but these covers, vastly underrated if you're a Bronze Age horror fan. This one I did like a lot with that grotesquerie in the background. So that's issue 20. Earlier in the run, I got an all-new Ghostly Haunts. This is issue 26 with, I believe, a Steve Ditko cover. And again, you can see they're vastly underrated, these covers. Great to be able to pick that one up. The Secret of the Sacred Cave. That's a VF Plus. And again, as I say, these books are hard to find in high grade. And then the last one on the list for Charlton this week, I got a Korg 70,000 BC, which I'd never heard of, but this painted cover really drew me in. This is issue 1 from Charlton. I think this is Hanna-Barbera's cartoon, I think, maybe. But thought this would be a good one to pick up, especially with that painted cover by Bob Boysets, I believe. So great. And yes, Glenn, anything with Steve Ditko, I just pick up if it's, especially the old Charlton stuff that he did. And again, I love Ditko's work throughout the years, actually. So I was first exposed to him properly outside of this, obviously the Spider-Man books, in Spider-Man books and also the Ron books. Pat Boyette on the core cover. It is Pat Boyette. You can see that here, just at the bottom. There you go. But fabulous painted cover. Happy to pick that one up. And quite cheap, $8 for a VF Plus copy. So happy to grab that. More filler, no killer. The all new Yellow Jacket, minor key. I don't know, maybe minor key. But this is around the area that I was collecting Marvel comics back in my teens and going to comic books, my local comic book store here. So I remember this run. I believe Tom Palmer on art there. Or maybe Buscema with Tom Palmer on inks. Let's crack that open and have a check. So second Yellow Jacket, new Yellow Jacket. So not a major key or minor, not even a minor key. John Buscema on arts, Tom Palmer. So John Buscema breakdowns and Tom Palmer on inks finishing. So, and written by Roger Stern. So there you have it. I was semi-right. So love that cover though. I actually love that run. I think it's vastly underrated. That combination of Buscema and Tom Palmer. Also, I think they were doing a lot of work in the Marvel UK books at the time as well. So really enjoyed those. And as you could see from our fabulous teaser image, I managed to pick this one up, the epilogue to Secret Wars issue 2. This is Avengers 266. And again, another Buscema and Tom Palmer art there. So fabulous to see. I always like Palmer doing the most. I always felt like Palmer was doing most of the work on these. I tend to agree because it's very Palmer-esque in its style. But I'll take some John Buscema any day, even if it's just pencils and they go over the top. So again, we got a Watchmen issue 3 of 12. These are tough with this black edge to get in decent grade. So this one's a near mint plus. Got this. Most of these books are actually from Dave and Rachel at Future Passive Vintage Collectibles. So wanted to pick this up because I'm trying to complete the original set of Watchmen, all 12 issues. So I've got issue 1, and I will be picking these up as we go. Higher grade, the better. So if you know of anyone who's got a set or of issue 2 and then 4 onwards in decent shape, let me know. Very interested to finish that up. Alan Moore, obviously, with Dave Gibbons on art. Just iconic covers. The whole lot of these covers were beautiful. And then on the back, they're notoriously hard in high grade because it's mostly black throughout. What else do we have? Couldn't pass this one up. Giffen and DeMatteis on story, and Sears and Marcos on art. Justice League Europe issue 1 with this motley crew. I was reading Justice League back in the day, and so when Justice League Europe came out, I thought this was nice. So bit of Metamorpho on the front there with the original Justice League cover, Metamorpho holding the Justice League cover there, and Power Girl suitably attired in this instance. So great to pick that one up. Back to the Bronze Age, we have Amazing Adventures 34 featuring Killraven, Warrior of Worlds. I've got a number of these. And again, I remember reading these in the back of Star Wars, I think, Star Wars UK reprints. So thought I'd pick these up because I love just fond memories of these stories. So that one's a super high grade one. We then have Amazing Adventures 36, still only 35 cents issue, still only 25 cents issue. From our friend Glenn, JLE has another in that line of heroes looking up at you covers that homaged each other. I need to find that one. I think in the 20s, I'm assuming, Glenn, I would imagine so, where they tried to maybe relaunch the title or reinvigorate it. But I will keep a lookout for that. Be a nice little trifecta to sort of put together. And then issue 36 of Amazing Adventures starring Killraven, War of the Worlds. This cover in particular was really good. I'm not sure who the cover artist on this is, but really liked that. Just loved that. Russell on both of these two, but not sure who drew the cover on that one. But I really like that cover in particular, issue 39. So again, I'm going to have to be picking up my Amazing Adventures. We have a bit of Daredevil. Again, as I keep saying, this is all filler and no killer. As you can see here, this is $2.45. Guest star in the Black Panther. No other reason to purchase this other than the fact that I'm trying to complete my Daredevil run. So this was one that was missing, so added it to the mix. Al Milgrom on art. Not a bad cover for Al. I do appreciate Al Milgram's art over the years. I used to think, particularly when you spend time reading Secret Wars, I was a bit disappointed with Secret Wars 2 in terms of the art, because Mike Zeck obviously blew it out of the park with Secret Wars, the original series, but unfortunately Al, Secret Wars 2 with Al on the art throughout, it suffered a little bit, I think. But I do appreciate Al Milgram's covers. I think when he's drawing a book full time, takes something away, I think, but his cover work is great. So nice one to add there. This one's for my friend Nate at Hoya Comics. I already have this, but I didn't have it in super high grade. So this is a Bill Sienkiewicz cover with that famous Dazzler Sounds of Light and Fury photo album cover for her. So this is issue 29 with Bill Sienkiewicz art on that front cover there. And then I think the photo by Brown, hence the jewel credit on the front cover. And I think Brown was a bit of a photographer for Marvel throughout. So I think he took most of these photo covers. And if you can dig out, he has a great P. Craig Russell. There you go. I knew the chat would be able to help. Gary, as always, coming to the rescue with his information. P. Craig Russell drew the cover to this. So, yeah, really like that cover. Thought it's really nice. We got a bit of Fantastic Four, issue 215 again. All filler, run filler, no killer. Guest starring Blastar, Ron Wilson, cover with Joe Rubenstein on art, on inks from 1979. Again, that's the square bound or square issues. So moving on from that, I've sort of mixed these up a little bit. This one is a little bit of a killer in my mind. This one is Moon Knight issue 30, one of two issues where Werewolf by Night and Moon Knight met once again in the actual Moon Knight title. So issue 29 is the one you want to get. Super hard to get in high grade. Both of these books because of this stunning black cover by Bill Sienkiewicz. And again, Werewolf by Night versus Moon Knight. Just had to pick that one up near mint, so this one will grade out probably about a 9.4 if I ever decide to get it graded. It's got one slightly color breaking spine tick there. Don't think I'll be getting it graded, but it might replace my under copy there. But again, fabulous copy. These two issues just side by side. The one has Werewolf by Night coming at the reader on that one. There you go. I knew I was out of order. We've got some Daredevil. This is issue 201 with a John Byrne cover for all you John Byrne fans out there. Look at that. And you can see he's just very slightly, you can make it out just on the bottom there. Signed his name. Not very clearly, but signed his name. But yeah, John Byrne cover there. This one is a near mint. So this should grade out a 9.8 if it was ever put in for grading. But again, it's a filler, no killer. So therefore, probably not going to be submitting that. But Black Widow cover with Daredevil there. This one I know I already have, and I don't know why I keep buying it. I must take it off the list. This is 237 featuring Claw, Ulysses Claw, Soundwave attacking Daredevil there. Another Daredevil. Now, this one I really have been looking for. I've got a copy of this, but not in super high grade, and it's a newsstand to boot. This is issue 238 of Daredevil. This is part of the Mutant Massacre storyline with an Art Adams cover and Klaus Janson inks. Fabulous book, this one. I just love the Mutant Massacre. That was one of the first events outside of Secret Wars that I really enjoyed. I loved the idea of the reset and just seeing the X-Men and all the various X groups come under attack. It was just very well done. Loved that storyline. So yeah, it's just great to have this Art Adams cover inked by Klaus Janson. This one could be one to get signed at Heroes because I think both of them are there at HeroesCon. So that one will be coming out of the stack for potential signing at Heroes. Now, if I remember rightly, this is also, just double checking, this next one. Yes, of course, I was correct. We talked about John Buscema earlier. This one is all John Buscema. Although this is a Bolton cover for the first of this. This is Mephisto versus the Fantastic Four. This is one of four where Mephisto faces off against the various groups at Marvel. So I've got issue 1 with that Bolton cover. John Buscema's on art on the interior. Then you got Mephisto. I'm missing number 2, but Mephisto versus the X-Men is number 3. And again, John Buscema on art. And then it closes off with Mephisto versus the Avengers. So So facing up. And I can't remember for the life of me who he faces off in issue 2. Perhaps it was X Factor. I believe it was probably X Factor. But who knows? I'll have to go back and check. Worst comic book ever. Which one? Which one, Vincent? You let me know. You tell me which one's the worst comic book ever. I mean, I did advertise this as the worst comic book haul ever because there are very, very few keys. So I'd love to know which one is your worst book thus far. But welcome. Good to see you, Vincent, as always. Thank you for joining, mate. Love Art Adams. Absolutely. I am going to try my utmost to get a sketch cover by Art whilst I'm at Heroes. So we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know. And Glenn, I knew the historian would come to the rescue. I thought it was X Factor, and it has been confirmed. It is X Factor. Glenn Simpson confirms it, so it is totally true. So that's good to know. Then we move to Hulk. So I got a copy of 225. Always like this cover. I think it's Ron Wilson on the cover here. Can't remember for the life of me who he's battling. This is 1978, I think. This is 1978. This one near mint minus. So that goes towards completing the Hulk run. Got a couple of duplicates here, making a dent in my still only 35 cents collection. Now this one is a key. So this is filler. This is killer, not filler. This is the first Moonstone, and there's still only 35 cents cover. This is issue 228. And we got another killer, no filler. We've got Hulk 2, 3, 4, featuring the first appearance of Wendell Vaughn as Quasar. So issue 234 and 228 were missing from my collection. So now I'm very happy to be able to say I have them in the still only 35 cents collection as well. Then we have a stack of Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, but no killer, all filler. This is issue 31. Looks like a Milgram cover to me. We have issue 34. Again, I believe what looks like, that might even be a Herb Trimpe cover. Issue 34, Lizards Everywhere. Issue 35. We have, I like that cover. That cover's really good. Issue 36, featuring Swarm, who first appeared, I believe, in the Champions. So the return of Swarm, the villain made up of bees, for those of you who don't know. Glenn Simpson, I think these are all killers in my world. I think so too, but most people they focus on the keys, and I was this time focusing on making sure I could fill my run of Spectacular Spider-Man. But yes, you are absolutely right. Direct editions, and at this early stage, the direct editions were rarer, Glenn, from memory, right? So happy to pick these up because you didn't find many direct editions in this early era. This one is a newsstand, but this issue 34 is a direct edition. Issue 35, direct edition. Issue 36, direct edition. And issue 37. Again, featuring Swarm. And to close us off on the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, we have issue 40. Begin as a man, end as a monster. So that was good. And these are all super high grade, like near mint plus, near mint, mint. We got a Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, issue 279, featuring Jack-O-Lantern and Silver Sable. Where is Spider-Man? Who knows? Inside the book, you would imagine. So that's a nice little pickup to fill up my Spider-Man run. Swarm, classic villain was in the 80s Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends cartoon. I did not know that, Glenn. Amazing Spider-Man's and his Amazing Friends, that was Firestar and Iceman. I always wondered about that collaboration. and why those characters were chosen of all of them. Firestar was new character created, but Iceman obviously. So maybe they just needed Fire and Ice to set it off. But I always felt that was a bit of a strange mix. Anyway, we have issue 3 of 5, Todd McFarlane goodness here. I think that's the Prowler in the background. So, yeah, that was a bit of a no-brainer. And again, that's a Near Mint Plus. Picked up a copy of this Eric Larson cover with Terry Austin on inks. This is issue 334. Oh, here we go. Classic. It's another one of these Human Torch. Was supposed to be the Human Torch, but ran into cartoon rights issues, similar to New Fantastic Four. I think Universal held the rights, and they were trying to make Human Torch into a movie, which is why he was not allowed to be used in any of these entertainment properties as they started experimenting with them in the late 70s, early 80s. So that explains a lot, Glenn. I got a copy of Marvel 2-in-1, issue 89, Kupperberg cover. Nothing spectacular going on there. But this one, really like. So, obviously, in the 80s, video games were massive. Ed Hannigan cover with John Byrne on inks. This is Marvel 2-in-1, issue 98, featuring guest star Franklin Richards. Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing in Video Wars. So a great sort of Pac-Man-esque cover there. That was a pure cover buy for me. I'm collecting my Marvel 2-in-1s, but this one was missing. But this is in super high grade. And maybe it's a thing, retro gaming covers. I know that Power Man and Iron Fist had one. So, yeah, maybe I'll go back and collect all of these gaming-inspired issues in the 80s because they were pretty cool, like this one. X Factor number 27, Christmas issue. We'll be keeping that for the end of this year for my Christmas show, going through Christmas covers. I was collecting this book at the time, Walt Simonson, Bob Wycheck cover here, Walt Simonson on art with Louise Simonson on story. This is just following the Fall of the Mutant storyline where Angel becomes Archangel. So yeah, it's sort of wound down. They'd had this great storyline, and obviously they're in a bit of wind down moment here. But yeah, Christmas in New York for the X Factor crew. And then I did promise you some. I did say all filler, no killer. I did lie a little bit. There is 2 books that are probably killer. But before I did that, I wanted to share with you 4 books that Dave and Rachel from Future Past Vintage Collect. Dave wanted to throw these into your package. I hope you like them. So I got a copy of Quality Comics, Judge Dredd America. This is issue 2. Got a copy of Dredd Rules, issue 18 from Quality Comics. And then, decent shape, these. A copy of a UK edition of The Complete Fantastic Four. This is issue number 4. I didn't have this one. And as you can see here, this is bigger format to the normal comic book size, as you can see. So supply me one of those. And then on top of that, he gave me a copy of Rampage, starring the Defenders, issue number 4. This one's from 1977. Both of these from 1977. And just gives you a good example of what these UK books look like. I will be doing some more videos on the UK reprints in the future. In particular, I've got a set of superheroes coming, as well as a deeper dive in terms of the differences between Secret Wars and the UK Secret Wars series. Got a complete run of Secret Wars and Secret Wars 2 from the UK. And I thought it would be good to do them side by side so you can get a chance to see the differences in the books and see what you think. But that's such a great little gift from Dave to go with all the other books that I bought. And to close us out, as I say, this is the killer part of the show. How can you go wrong with a copy of West Coast Avengers 46, featuring the first appearance of the Great Lakes Avengers, that superhero squad that will one day dominate the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So what a great book to end on with John Byrne. John Byrne art, one of my favorite artists in Bronze Age and Copper Age. And I thought as well, it would be nice to finish off with another piece of John Byrne goodness. And there he is. So we do have what's on the comic rack in the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, sir. Alongside Tales from My Spinner Rack. So we have 2 racks in the show today. So it's great to have you both. Welcome, Mr. Aiken. And I thought, with you being here, someone did say John Byrne. This one, signed by John Byrne, right down there. Super high grade copy, this one. So I possibly will get that authenticated. I have a number of these John Byrne books signed, Alpha Flight ones signed by John Byrne on the interior. But I thought that would be a lovely way to finish it for today's show. I really hope you enjoyed the books. Seeing what run filler I've been picking up. I've got a heap more stuff to share with you over the next coming weeks. The stack in front of me is pretty huge. But as I say, hopefully you enjoyed today's show and the books that I was showing. It's been a pleasure seeing you all, and those of you that have all been in the all of you that have been in the chat, particularly my 2 racks that are in there. It's great to see you both. And if you haven't subscribed to any of the great channels that you saw today, I'm sure the lovely Christina Payne has been dropping links left, right, and center for everybody that's been on here. So thank you all for joining. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed the books. Let me know in the comments below, for those of you who catch us on the rewind, which ones were your favorites? What was the worst book? And what was the best book? I always like to know what everyone thinks. But yes, runs are fun. Here we go. Runs are fun from Glenn. It's great. How much did you pay for the Alpha Flight? How much do you think? Put a comment in quickly and let me know what you think. See if I overpaid. I think I got a good deal considering it's signed by John Byrne. And I'll give you a sense. It's the Dave and Rachel at Future Past Vintage Collectibles said would have graded it at a 9.8. So the assumption is this is a 9.8 grade worthy copy and signed by John Byrne. What would you have paid? And honestly, what would you have paid? And I will reveal that in a few seconds. But yeah, let me know. It was, I will let you know, $62 was paid for said book, but knowing it was in such high grade. So it replaces another one of my copies. But I would, having John Byrne's signature to me, when John Byrne does not appear at shows, was certainly worth that in my mind. So, all right. With that, folks, it's been an absolute joy and pleasure. Great to be back home. I will be back in the US for Heroes Con in 4 weeks. And stay tuned for that. So we'll be having a lot more prep as we go. But yes, it's been a great show. Been great seeing you all. Thanks as always for watching. And I will see you on the next one.